So this is a story about how personal electric vehicles are banned in New South Wales. And it is confusing, and some things have changed since our last video 2 years ago. So this is a wrap up. I sincerely hope this helps politicians make educated decisions. I hope that this helps police make educated decisions. And I certainly hope this helps Australian consumers as well. So a quick recap on the laws as they currently stand. So it's legal to ride personal electric vehicles in Queensland, in Canberra, the ACT, and now in Western Australia since a few months ago, which is awesome. We're so stoked for those states being able to move ahead. Currently, or still in New South Wales, it is not legal to ride personal electric vehicles in public spaces. So that means pretty much anywhere except for your own private property. Now, the rules in Canberra are that you can ride with certain conditions. You need to be, I think, over 16 years old. You need to travel at 10 kilometres per hour, which is what I'm doing now. I'm doing 10 kilometres per hour over pedestrian crossings, and up to 15 kilometres per hour on footpaths. Obviously you'd want, okay, let's see what I'm doing now. I'm doing 12, doing 15 kilometres per hour. So this is the top speed you do on a footpath in Canberra, and then you can do up to 25 kilometres per hour on a cycle path. In Canberra they say you shouldn't ride on roads, and I guess it just depends on the road network that they have there. But I'd assume if there's no lane markings, in other words, suburban roads and laneways, you should be able to ride on those, I'd expect. But in any case, they have a framework and it appears to be working in Canberra. This framework was adopted from the Australian road rules. In fact, there is a government body called the National Transport Commission who undertook several projects to lay the foundation for nationwide rules in Australia. That was a great project, and we contributed to that project in terms of gave some feedback and some figures. That proposal was accepted into the Australian road rules last year, 2021, and at that point it's up to every state to adopt those road rules, those recommendations. New South Wales so far has not adopted them. Every state, to be fair, has their own infrastructure and different spending on infrastructure. There are much better cycleways in Canberra than New South Wales, so I guess it makes sense. For it to work properly in New South Wales, ideally we need much better infrastructure, more cycle lanes, more active transport lanes. So they're the rules, and a lot of people say, well, why has New South Wales taken so long to adopt them? Well, it really pretty much came down to one guy. The New South Wales Minister for Transport in 2021 was Andrew Constance, and he basically said that he was not in the mood to discuss or allow scooter trials. So he basically was not interested to help, left it up to the next person. What's happened since Andrew Constance has bowed out of New South Wales politics? Well, Rob Stokes has joined the party. Hi Rob, I hope that you can come and meet us and check out our awesome vehicles when you get time. And we'd love to meet you and chat more about active transport in New South Wales. So we know that some members from the Eastgate community in Sydney have sent a letter to Rob Stokes asking for more information about this, and their response is basically a cookie cutter response saying that they want to wait for the electric scooter trials to commence and complete in New South Wales in 2022, they're saying. Depending on where you read, they say it could take anywhere from 6 months plus another 6 months, or 12 months plus another 12 months. They're not entirely sure. Now, they will get recommendations from ESA, the E-Scooter Advisory Group in New South Wales. Now, that is a strange kind of a group. I couldn't find much information about it online, except I found a PDF which lists the members of that group, and they have input from New South Wales Transport, the police, which is all good, and they have input from the Pedestrian Council of Australia. So that's something that does concern me, because we know Harold Scrubby doesn't always represent all pedestrians. We do care about pedestrians. I have children, I have grandparents, and I want to make sure all pedestrians are safe. I just want to work with the Pedestrian Council, and I hope we can all learn and benefit and grow. The other groups involved are the Guide Dog Institute of Australia or Council of Australia, and that's important too. Obviously, we care about everybody in the community. We care about accessibility. One thing I'm concerned about though with that ERA group is, oops, sorry, that was the ESA, not the ERA. They don't have any, or they don't appear to have any input from the riders themselves. So the public who own electric vehicles, who are riding them to get to work on a regular basis. So what I would ask Rob and this ERA group is to please engage with Electric Riders Org Australia, I believe. I'll put the link up there. Electric Riders Electric Riders Australia is essentially a group of riders with private electric vehicles that use them regularly. And they ride safe, they're nice people, they're sociable people. So yeah, please get their feedback in all of this. The one thing that I am concerned about is that why are we doing a scooter trial with rental scooter companies when the road rules have already been put in place at a national level? Surely, could we not look at the statistics from other states like Canberra, Queensland, WA? What's going on there? What statistics are you seeing from private riders? So why are scooter trials from scooter hire companies so inextricably linked to the personal electric transport laws in New South Wales? Well, let me explain the background behind companies like Lime and Bird. So, excellent philanthropic idea, get cars off the road by sharing electric scooters with people where you can rent them. But unfortunately, in the last few years, we've seen that business model not working out when the bad side of the general public comes out, and we see scooters left on streets, thrown into lakes, and that unfortunately has really done damage to the reputation of people with their own personal electric vehicles who just want to get around. Companies like that get massive venture capital from big companies. So like Alphabet, we know, has dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into Lime. Please double check my quotes on that. And when you have scooter rental companies with all this money coming in and a lot of expenses going out, they need to recover that money. And so how they do that is they put pressure on the governments in Australia to allow these electric scooter rental schemes. And by bulldozing that ahead, letting people jump on these rental vehicles without much training, that's really causing some incidents that are making us look bad. So we regret that, and I honestly, knowing that background, I can't see how scooter trials by rental companies is actually going to end well. We've seen instances where young kids on electric scooters have run into pedestrians, and that is terrible. We just think, so bad, so little training. What are these young kids doing? Look, young kids are going to be kids, right? And they're going to stuff up. They're going to stuff up on a traditional scooter without a motor and a traditional skateboard without a motor anyway. So there just needs to be some regulation around it, around personal electric vehicles. Okay, so why are we so concerned with rental schemes for electric scooters? Well, We honestly believe the riders of rental scooters are different from the riders of privately owned electric vehicles. Case in point, this electric vehicle costs $3,000 and we sell a lot of them. Most of our electric vehicles range from $1,000 up to $6,000. Consider that someone who's spent all their money on that is not likely to want to scratch it. They will not want to leave it in the street or throw it in a pond. These are people who are going to take extreme care of their vehicle and are really legitimately concerned about safety and about public safety. So I guess you just have to take our word for it, but you could run a study on that too. Okay, so to wrap it up, I'm going to talk a little bit about the riders of privately owned personal electric vehicles. We know from experience over many years that they're just regular people. They're mums and dads, they're your local butcher, they're your local car dealer, they're your banker, they're even police officers. We have had people from drug squad, regular beat officers come and purchase skateboards from us. They're people that want to get around and have a little bit more fun in the process. Okay, so they're not criminals. Okay, people on electric skateboards are not criminals. They just, I'll say it again, they just want to get around in an environmentally friendly way and have a little bit of fun in the process. I'll also say too that there are social groups forming. There's, lifelong friendships forming. There are, check them out too, on Facebook there's Sydney Electric Skateboarders, there's around 2,000 members and they'll meet regularly in the city and go on social rides together. They'll learn from each other, they'll teach each other how to ride safely, we'll talk about safety gear, and we just see that as the way forward. All right, so we're going to talk about industry now, and this skateboard is by Evolve Skateboards out of the Gold Coast in Queensland. They are doing an awesome job. They are designing and building skateboards and sending them to the world. They're very popular in America and Europe. They're being used extensively in Australia, legally in Queensland, Canberra and Western Australia, but you cannot legally ride this in New South Wales. So imagine going back a few decades when Holden was that business we were keeping alive in Australia with taxpayer funds, and we love that business. And imagine telling consumers that they can buy a Holden but they can't ride it in New South Wales, but you can ride it in Queensland. That's exactly what's happening here. Evolve is a great Australian company bringing in tax dollars and they're being shut down. Another company to watch is Transite Skateboards in Sydney. They are making electric skateboards in Australia. In fact, they're making electric skateboards in the state where it is not legal to ride them. So they're going to need a little bit of help from the government and so there's some framework around what's going on there. All right, so I need to throw in a bit of a disclaimer at the end of this video. Look, we as a business, Ben Buckler Boards, do profit from selling electric skateboards. Aww. But that profit goes into paying for staff, we're creating jobs, and rent, and innovation. And we're also paying tax. So throughout the pandemic, we actually hired people. We doubled our team during the pandemic. So while other people were dropping jobs, we were hiring. It's a good story. And then I would also say we do it because we're passionate about improving our city, our country. We're passionate about helping people get around easily, effortlessly, and having fun at the same time. I hope this video helps. Let us know in the comments if you've got any suggestions, feedback. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to talk to Rob Stokes. We'd love to talk to the New South Wales Police Force. We'd love to be on that ESA committee to help explain the findings from the crash course that is a scooter trial with rental scooters and people that don't have any experience. Alrighty, peace out. See you next time. Stay tuned for the next video when we talk about how crazy the Australian road rules are for electric bikes. Look at that skate park. So good. Oh, they're riding their skateboards without helmets.